Heroes Shibe here with another episode of this vlog in which I express my thoughts about what's going on in the cryptocurrency space and just tech in general. By the time you see this, Segwit will have locked in on the Bitcoin main chain and the Bitcoin legacy chain. I think given that Bitcoin Cash is still existing and hasn't gone away, I'm not sure what everyone's going to be calling it, if it's going to be Bitcoin Legacy or just Bitcoin or Bitcoin main chain. But what has happened is the locking mechanism will have locked in August 8th, I think like 8:30 a.m. GMT time. And then we will be in our last phase, where by the end of the month, August 22nd, that's it. Segwit is done. It was part of the Bitcoin blockchain. And the next phase for that chain will be dealing with trying to get the 2x part. Excuse me. And that's where things for that chain really are going to come to head, whether or not it's going to race to the 2 megabyte limit. Again, the New York agreement asked for that. Many of the businesses still want it, but it looks like from both the Bitcoin core developers and even some of the businesses and miners are stating that it might not actually happen. There's a fear that there might be another fork. So there's a possibility that could occur. We've talked about this before, how there might be another hard fork, but this is kind of really dependent on Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash in itself has lowered its mining difficulty to where now it's profitable to mine on the Bitcoin Cash. So there might be a shift in networking hashing power to that chain. Right now, the blocks are occurring a little bit faster, but not as fast as they should be, which is supposed to be 10 minutes. Now I think they're happening like every hour or so. It's kind of wonky because, again, there's mining power that comes on and off, and the difficulty just finally changed to, I think it's like 16% of that of the main chain. So we'll see where it goes from there. More exchanges are accepting Bitcoin Cash or allocating it out to people that may have had their Bitcoins on the chain. Coinbase is still stating that they are, as of the recording this episode, that they were going to release the Bitcoin Cash for anyone that had Bitcoin on the exchange January 1st of 2018. There's other places that are stating that if you had Bitcoin, any amount of Bitcoin with them, from wallets to exchanges, that they're going to release that Bitcoin Cash. Given that the price has dropped down to 200 and it could drop even further, don't know what that means for the coin, if people are going to start holding, if they're going to start trading and continue to dump. We'll see, but it is being traded. Most of it's trading back into Bitcoin itself, which has risen in value to like around 3,200 now. No doubt with Segwit finally locking in sometime tomorrow. This is August 7th, so sometime in August 8th, and no doubt will skyrocket. There's predictions that the main Bitcoin is going to be around 4,000. There was always a prediction from the beginning of the year that by the end of the year is going to be $5,000. So we'll see. Major bull run, great for the Bitcoin, great for its value. Not sure about what will happen now. The Segwit is going to, as existing, if the utility is going to improve, if we're going to start getting that, Lightning Network, other things that occurring within the Bitcoin main chain, but we'll see. This is an ongoing space. We're still very early into the whole cryptocurrency space in general. But that's, I think it's a good thing. I think, Segwit logging in is great for the coin itself. And so we're going to see lower fees. We're going to see, increase, for the block. I think increased stability as far as debate goes within the community, rise in value. Now it's just about, utility, making Bitcoin more functional for people out there in the world. Maybe finally getting like a marketing team going on for Bitcoin so that people are more aware of the coin itself and what it could do for people. News in the Bitcoin community is that Overstock, one of the long-term and early merchant people, Overstock, which is owned by Patrick Bryan, big libertarian, he also developed, what was it? He developed like an investment platform utilizing blockchain technology. He's one of the first to do it. The name escapes me at the time. It started like last year. But they've accepted Bitcoin, and they've stated that they're now going to accept 50% of their Bitcoin transactions that they receive for their merchant products. They're going to hold, which is not only great for their business, great for the community, less coins out there, but it demonstrates to other merchants the utility that Bitcoin can have, where if you could, because of its value, and if you're holding it, it can help with your economic growth. It could be like almost like either a share or bond or gold or some kind of like investment platform that can add value to your company. So that's something to think of. And it makes me wonder if maybe like Newegg or other Bitcoin companies that have stopped accepting Bitcoin as payments because of the fees. Now that Segwit has locked in, might once again begin accepting Bitcoin and start holding it, a percentage of it, enough of it, maybe not as high as 50%, as a investment platform and add on value to their corporation, if you will. Well, and then this has been the talk for like at least a week now. Game of Thrones, which is a big HBO show. HBO got hacked. 1.5 terabytes of information was taken. Leaks have been put online. Other shows that were part of HBO, I think like Ballers and one other show was leaked. The recent episode of Game of Thrones was leaked, but HBO stated that it's unrelated to the hack, but who knows if that is the case. But the hackers have sent a ransom note to HBO stating that they want $6 million in Bitcoin, or they're going to start dumping more episodes. Mind you, there's basically 2 more episodes of the season left for Game of Thrones, so I don't know how much value that is. Also, though, the scripts, I'm not sure if season 8 has been written. I think I saw a few articles earlier stating that they already started writing for season 8 and have some of those scripts are written. So if they have season 8 scripts, even if it's maybe first draft scripts, that could be major. So it really depends on what the data is. They've already released some of that data, particularly emails about one of their executives and all the contacts there. But it doesn't seem to be as data enriched as the Sony hack that happened a couple years ago, where Social Security numbers were released by employees, financial information. Sony is still reeling from that hack that was almost like 3 years ago. The only positive thing that came out of the hack was a series of emails about the Marvel Spider-Man deal, and I guess Sony was kind of, because they own the rights to the Spider-Man character, was kind of dragging their feet. And then once the wind of it got in, that a lot of the Marvel fans and movie fans were like, maybe Sony, you really need to make this deal for Marvel, and they did. Spider-Man showed up in Civil War, and Spider-Man Homecoming came out last month. Not as profitable as other Spider-Man movies, but I haven't seen it yet, so please don't spoil it to me or spoil it for anybody in the comment section. People are saying that it's the best direction or one of the best Spider-Man movies out there. Hasn't shown quite as much as box office wise, but I guess box office wise for movies in general this summer or this year is just dramatically down. So that might have something to do with it, more so than maybe the quality of the movie. But again, just as a comparison, and plus the Sony hack might have been like a national state thing with North Korea, so completely different types of hacks or hacker groups who are associated with this hack. This seems to be more like a criminal enterprise with HBO, but they're asking for $6 million in Bitcoin. So accepting Bitcoin has been demonstrated that is not actually the best idea right now with the blockchain spies for criminals. It's all traceable. So unless they try to somehow use Shapeshift, which I'm given that Shapeshift has been pretty good about trying to blacklist certain addresses, it's going to be very hard for the hackers, if they were able to attain that Bitcoin, to flip it or turn it into something for themselves. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. The FBI is supposed to be on the case, so we'll see if they catch these hackers or not. They didn't exactly catch the Sony hackers. It's been attributed to the national state of North Korea, but the actual individuals hackers themselves haven't exactly been quite caught yet. Oh, and then there's this news about Marcus Hutchison, that he's the guy that helped to kind of defeat WannaCry, or at least stop it from spreading across Europe and around the world. He was arrested right around after DEF CON ended. He was arrested by the FBI. He was detained. This is coming from basically the closing of Alpha Bay. There was a sale of a particular malware program called Cronus that allegedly he is supposed to have been not only developed, but he and his partners sold through this dark website. And Cronus was his Trojan horse banking malware program that plagued a lot of banks, primarily in Russia, a couple years ago. And some people have attributed it to Russians. They may have bought this malware program and utilized it, but he's been arrested in association. He had to pay a $30,000 bail. But the biggest thing about it is, one, people don't believe the FBI when it comes to this. Second, if he did indeed develop this malware program, as someone who's in the security industry, this is actually not unusual, but there's a lot of people within the tech industry who are very deeply concerned, because one of the primary ways for people to learn how to defeat malware is by designing malware themselves and learning how to see how it operates. I don't know what to make of this partnership that he had on this Alphabet sale, and the fact that maybe he still controlled Kronos. If these things, their statements are true, that's bad on him, because that is hacking. But maybe he developed the program and it somehow escaped him. Again, these are all allegations. He entered a plea of not guilty. He faces up to 20 years in jail. But it just made me think of the concept of how there's been a number of these type of cases where people have developed software programs and then they're used in the wild for malicious purposes and they've gone to prison for it. And it made me think that perhaps there needs to be some protections in place for the tech industry people. Particularly for if you develop a program that somehow gets utilized for something wrong. I mean, we see this being done for DVD programs, for BitTorrent, where again and again, the FBI or someone tries to get these guys for developing these type of programs to defeat a type of system and put them in prison for. Now, a number of these people didn't go to jail, but some people have. And it made me think about, the lawsuits against gun manufacturers, making them responsible for gun violence, car companies for the fact that I saw a case like some years ago about illegal straight racing, where certain types of cars were being modified, and these car companies are enabling and allowing for these street racers to be able to modify their cars, and these legal straight racings are happening, and thus they should be responsible for not allowing for these type of modifications. But there's laws in place that state that they're not, and maybe there needs to be something for the tech industry where they might not be responsible for what someone else uses a program for, even for something like malware. I don't know what that's going to look like. We'll see how this case develops, but it just made me kind of think about that, where there might need to be necessary in this place. And also, it's going to put a chilling effect for security experts, because they do need to understand and break down and go into these systems. And again, it has to do with DRMs and copyright and patents and stuff, where they literally are breaking into type of systems for the purpose of educational purposes, for understanding how programs work, so they can defeat bugs or finding bugs and things of that nature. And it's just a mess. We have these very antiquated laws and systems that are just not compatible with the 21st century. And just in general, we may need to just overhaul a lot of the code, or the laws, if you will, that is currently within our judicial system. But that's pretty much it. It's just this malware thing. I'll do some updates and give my thoughts about it as the case develops. But again, I just think it just seems very unseemly, considering that this guy, who works in the security industries, he helped defeat the WannaCry. He's being accused of developing this Trojan program called Kronos, and then he gets arrested for it, and this is an outplay of the Alphabet thing. And I think there's going to be more of these Alphabet arrests, because I believe it wasn't Alphabet, but I think the other one was a honeypot. They took over the entire site, so they have all this data information. They pretty much have all the information from Alphabet, so they're going after vendors, they're going after customers. There's going to be more arrests from these darknet marketplace shutdowns. But I think there needs to be some regulations or development or protections for these type of security experts, so that they can do the jobs that they need to do without fear of repercussions or facing 20-year sentences. But as more information comes out, I guess I'll give more thoughts about it. But that's it for now. Thanks for listening, and to the moon.